Okay, we're live now.
Welcome to the Old Drop Podcast. Shut the fuck up, Arun. Welcome to the Old Drop Podcast, everyone. Today is Sunday, July the 23rd. I am James. With me today, as usual, is Arun and Adam. Today is the free agency edition, kind of the dog days of summer right now. Not too much happening, but so yeah, let's start off, I guess, with Oilers-centered topics. And the biggest thing that's happened with the Oilers over the past month or so would be the Connor McDavid contract extension, 8 years, $12.5 million per year. What do you guys think about the contract? Is it, like fair value? Did he leave money on the table? Obviously, yes, he did. But what do you guys think?
Hey guys, so welcome to the Oil Drop Podcast.
I mean,
Today is
so
Sunday, the 25th
there's two ways to look at it.
James,
you can look at it and say, is Connor McDavid, he was getting whatever he asked for anyway. The fact that he took a slight discount is a win for us. And the other side of it is $12.5 million, adding in Draisaitl's eventual contract, hopefully at this rate. Chris Russell, Lucic, Nugent Hopkins, and Talbot in a couple of years. That's a lot of money tied up in like 5-6 players. So I mean, it makes sense. McDavid was going to get whatever he wanted. It's value for the best player in the game. It's going to continue to be value as the cap rises, but it still hurts a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, you are signing essentially the best player in the league, and likely will become and continue to be the best player in the league. That being said, he was still an RFA. You're signing him to a contract extension, not necessarily a new contract, so you still had some time for negotiation and contract cap clearing and whatnot. And the most immediate contract is a Draisaitl contract, and that's the one where it's a little bit of a question mark in terms of how much do you pay him with the discrepancy, and most likely this may turn into a Sagan situation, and hopefully it doesn't. But it's a little concerning, just because if we just consider the Chiarelli contracts. So the Chiarelli contracts, as I put it, are the big Chiarelli signed contracts where these were either big names that he signed up for free agency, or they're names that he put he re-signed players for. Right now, this is considering also the Draisaitl contract, and we haven't worked out the Draisaitl contract completely yet. And that being said, between the $12.5 million for McDavid, the $5.5 for Sekera, who is now 31, 32,
31.
31. The $6 million for Lucic, who is now 30. The 29. Sorry, for Lucic. He's 29 years old. The $4 million for Russell, who is now 30 years old. That is basically a first, a line you would ice on in the game. That's not including 3 other forward lines you need to ice and 4 other defensemen you need to ice. That's 48% of a cap hit likely for next year. This is assuming that the cap is going up by $2 million, like the minimum amount that is going up by, but that's nearly 50% of our salary tied up to a line, and that's very concerning.
But the topic at point is McDavid's contract, and if you look at it, what kind of he's an RFA.
Here's the thing, we got him at a bit of a discount, but I really am starting to think that all those early numbers that we started to hear were purely for making this contract seem not bad in the eyes of fans. Because right now, yes, he's the most played player on a yearly basis, but that being said, he's the most highest paid player on a yearly basis by a good $2 million.
The only reason Crosby isn't is because he's so superstitious he took 8.7. But
yeah,
exactly. McDavid is going to be, he's arguably the best player on the planet. He's going to be the best player on the planet in a year or two.
Okay, if you think about it, really, nothing is guaranteed. We thought that, who's the guy that demanded a trade from what's that freaking team called again? Not the Alouettes. What's that? They got moved from Quebec to
Avalanche?
The Avalanche. Lindros, that was it. Lindros was considered to be going to be the best player after Gretzky and Lemieux. That's the way that he was touted as. But sometimes there's stuff that you just can't accommodate for. And
that was before he played a single game in the league, though. This is after 2 seasons of McDavid. You don't get to.
I will give you that one. I will give you that one. Yeah.
You don't get to argue.
For 5 or 6 years, Lindros was exactly what he was advertised to be.
He was, yes.
There was no really issues till his brain was liquefied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's still a Hall of Fame player, even though he played like 500 fewer games at least than people expected him to.
Yeah, on a point per game level, he's the only person that could keep up with the Lindroses and not the Lindroses, he was Lindros, with the Lemieux and the Gretzkys. And that's impressive in any light. It's just unfortunate because, you can have what is likely the best player in the league, or perhaps one of the best players in the league. And there's sometimes it's just going to be stuff you can't accommodate for. And that's a danger of signing a $12.5 million contract for 8 years.
You're banking on him staying healthy and staying good. But what are you going to do? Like, are you not going to take that bet? I mean, you have to take that.
You have to take the bet. But that being said, I would be more inclined towards taking the bet at, say, 11.5 or 12.
Right, but it's the kind of contract where you go, okay, Connor, how much do you want? And he goes 12 and a half, or you say, oh, we'll have a 13.25, and he goes 12 and a half, and you're like, yeah, fuck it, take it, because it's not.
That's
like,
what the rumors say, yeah.
You don't have any purchase point arguing. It's like, okay, so we'd like to offer you $11.5 million. And he goes, well, I'm the best player. His agent goes, he's the best player in the NHL, will be the best player in the NHL, and you want him on your team long term without getting offer sheeted or anything, you sign him for more money.
Yeah, that's, while true, he's basically signed at the rate of, it's an unfair comparison, understandably, but at the rate of 2 Jonathan Tavares.
He's already better than John Tavares.
Yes, but on your team, would you rather have 1 Connor McDavid or 2 Jonathan Tavares?
1 Connor McDavid.
Really? Okay.
I think I would too.
And the other side of it for me, yes, still, Arun, you bring up a good point where it's maybe the issue isn't so much McDavid's contract as the fact that
the contracts around him.
Australia's signed contracts are going to be detrimental to the team's performance in the next couple of years. James, what do you make of the contract?
McDavid's contract in a vacuum?
In a vacuum, and as a whole.
And then in a context.
It's kind of like what we already said. I mean, you have to take the bet that he's going to remain healthy, that he's going to continue to be an extremely productive player, because what's the alternative, really? I mean, go back to spinning our tires and ruining more first overall picks. I mean, $12.5 million, yeah, like I take that and I accept it. It would have been great if he was as superstitious as Crosby and signed for 9.7, but I think that was a pipe dream. Like, there was no way that was going to happen. The problem now begins with, you kind of saw it for a while in Pittsburgh, who does McDavid play with? Because so much of the cap is being eaten up by so few players. What you want is people that are going to be willing to sign for cheap and have good chemistry with him. So for years in Pittsburgh, that was Chris Kunitz. And I don't know if they're going to have someone like that next year. I mean, there's Patrick Maroon, yes, but I think he's in his last year of his deal. So if he scores another 27 goals, I mean, he's going to be looking for $5 million.
Yeah.
So
I think where we run into dilemma now is that you look at the Penguins of, what is it, 2008 when they won the first time?
No, 09.
09. And you look at the Penguins of those 2 years, and Crosby was on a cheap contract. They had Mario Lemieux for the first year, for half of the first year. But most of their team was made up of veterans or players they had picked up at some point or another. Versus the last 2 years, the team that they put together that won the Cup had so many players that were brought through their system.
Yeah.
The big guys, they obviously like Malkin and Crosby were there since the beginning. Flair was there since the beginning, but Murray was a draft pick. Letang was still there. Brian Dumoulin
didn't play a single playoff game, but still, the points still.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that, like, if we look at Brian Rust, if we look at Jake Gensel this year, Phil Kessel was obviously acquired, but they had a few key players that were big name guys that were either acquired or had been on the team forever, and then they had players they had developed and brought up through the system that became big role players.
In 08-09, yeah, they had like Peter Sikora, Ruslan Fedotenko, Miroslav Shatan, Bill Guerin. They traded for him that year.
Not to mention, the best part about what they had with the contract situation was that was the last year of Malkin's ELC was.
Yeah. So
that's why everything was literally possible, because Malkin was not being paid. Like, I don't know what he was being paid, but he's not being paid that.
Entry-level contract. He got 113 points that year.
Yeah. It's the kind of thing where it's like, if the Oilers are going to do something big, this year's the year. Otherwise, we're going to have to start, you're going to have to start producing talent from within, because it's not sustainable.
No. And that's currently the danger that you're running into, because you're seeing a lot of teams that have talent within, that because of bloated contracts that they signed in free agency. Why are we seeing your penis, Adam? Okay, there we go.
Because you love it.
Oh yeah, baby.
Mystical instruments jack backwards, so you look black.
Mine?
And the gangsters you are.
Yes, nothing I can do. Lighting in this room isn't great. But sorry, coming back to it, the contract situation for the Oilers is not great because of the number of bloated contracts that we've basically given out already. Just to give you an idea, right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 contracts on the payroll at the moment. So, and mind you, this includes some players that are not on the main roster. This does not include players not on the main roster, like Puyarvi, Pagan, Bear, and some others. But that is 68% of our cap being spread across 12 players. Now, the standard, number of contracts that you have on a team is double the amount that we have right now. The number of players should be 23, the usual numbers there. But to give you an idea, the remaining amount of money that we have to spend, which is about, hold on, I have to do math. Not great at doing math.
You're an engineer. That's terrifying.
I'm just using a calculator. $25 million we have to spread across Ryan Strome. Now, this is not next year. This is literally, next year. So next offseason. Ryan Strome, Mark Letestu, Patrick Maroon, UC Jokinen, which is a question mark, of course, Anton Slepyshev, Kajula, Pakarainen, Benning. I'm assuming Fane doesn't return, so let's just ignore Fane. Darnell Nurse, Laurent Brossoit, and bringing in a defender to replace Fane, or let's assume Bear comes up.
Mark Letestu's gone.
I wouldn't be so... Yeah, I would agree with you on that, because he is now on the side of 33. But assuming he continues with his breakout performance of being on the power play and just being there to collect points, I think there's a good chance he returns on another bloated contract.
But if he's the fourth line center, his cap hit right now is 1.8.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably be wanting like one last multi-year contract. He's had a good last season anyway. He was good with the Oilers. If he has another season like this, there's no way we re-sign him at 1.8. He'll want like a 2 or 3 year deal at least. I mean, he'll be just too expensive. Letestu's gone.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
No, I do agree with you. I think the best course of action is that, and to bring in or bring up, we don't have much in the system in terms of centers. I was just realizing this.
Yeah,
we have good wingers. We have good defense. And when I say good, I'm not talking first line, but definitely second line or pairing kind of players. But not much beyond that. So other players not included in that list of players that I stated. Puljujarvi would need to be signed.
He needs to play.
Yeah, he needs to play. Yeah. But that's just a few of them. And among the players that I just said, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, including Piliarvi, 8 of those are RFAs. And we need to spend $25 million among 11 of those players.
Now, to be fair, for the majority of those players, they won't be getting big payouts in the next few years.
No, let's assume like we do give them, let's say, like a little bit of a bump up. Still, like you're expecting Darnell Nurse to like how much of a bump up would you expect from him? Right?
Not a lot. He hasn't played exceptionally well.
Play or pay?
Pay.
Pay? I don't know. Bridge deal, hopefully.
Bridge deal seems best. Yeah, I agree with you. No, I just want to shed into light in terms of we're getting ourselves like we're still thinking that like we're 2 years or 1 year away from like a really good cup run. No, we need to run for the cup right now because after next year we're going to be. Most of our time is going to be spent going like, okay, we need to clear up some contract space. Russell is now 33 years old and being paid $44 million. We need to trade him before his no-trade clause kicks in, and there's no one who's accepting him, so let's send Ethan Bear as well so we get that trade through. So now the only way of getting rid of our bloated contracts is also what we need to that other teams are using in order to win cups. Is a good farm system.
It's a bit of a concern that within 1 or 2 years having McDavid, we're already jumping into cap hell next year because we've mismanaged some contracts, or at least on the surface level to us, we've mismanaged contracts. So it's a little odd that we're going into cap hell without ever having really done anything. I guess we haven't really had any success. We had one good season, and like, yeah, okay, so next year we're going to be in cap hell, and then we're going to go from there.
Yeah.
So, at least Chicago got their 3 cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they got into cap hell. Like, Penguins got their cup and then got themselves into cap hell. And then got a GM that got them out of cap hell, and then got another GM that got them back into cap hell. So,
but also won their 2 cups.
Good. Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh is so good. Like, who cares about cap hell when you win cups?
Pittsburgh makes no logical sense. They take every convention that you'd expect in order to win a good team and throws it out the window. Who needs good defense? It's Dumoulin and Schultz first pairing.
They might still win another cup too. Like but they're gonna be rough because if Murray gets injured, they're screwed. But they're still a damn good team. They haven't lost that much talent off that team.
Yeah, and one thing Murray's really like everyone's going like, oh, they had 2 really good goaltenders. One thing Murray's really good at doing is getting injured. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so for next year, I mean, they've still got Malkin, Crosby, Kessel, Hornquist, Hagelin, Reeves. Like, some of these players, I'd never hear of them until they're in the playoffs and lighting it up. Like, last year, it was Russ. This year, Gensel. God, like, every year, it seems like there's some player that comes out of the blue for them.
So, what's most likely in the upcoming offseason then, not this one, next one, or say trade deadline, depending on how the season goes, is, as Pool Party puts it in chat, is unless Nugent Hopkins' production improves to the level of where he was before, McDavid came in, he's most likely gone, and it's going to be a cap crunch, so it's not going to be a great return either.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that trade coming a year away. And I mean, I saw the Eberle trade coming too.
Yeah. The Eberle trade was as much, like, it's the best we could do of that situation, because GMs are quickly realizing that we're already headed towards cap hell. And if that's the situation with the Eberle trade, where we get in a 1-for-1 Ryan Strome, who in his, like, I made this comment earlier, in his best season, Ryan Strome didn't get as many points as Eberle did in his bad season, which was last year. And, yeah, it's just, I think the key reason that it was Eberle traded and not Nugent Hopkins, honestly, might have just been the playoffs. This offseason. Anyway, that's a comment for another. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is like my gigantic rant against, giving out contracts to players that are 30 plus that are longer than 5 years or even 4 years.
Okay, let's move on a bit here. The McDavid contract, we've sort of covered that. Draisaitl still hasn't been signed. Are you guys concerned about that at all yet? Or
not really. Everyone keeps pointing out that, like, hey, you know, the offer sheet might be coming. You know, we got to look out for the offer sheet. I don't think the offer sheet's going to be a big problem. I think this is one of those things where if Chiarelli does not spend a good time negotiating this contract down from the $9 million ask that it's rumored to be, like, you fire him. And if you, like, end up trading him off of bad relations, you also fire him. That's the way I see it. This is like this big, like, this is his biggest test. Right now, everything for Chiarelli so far has been sort of handed to him, or he's made a mistake, but it's still worked out. Or he's done something good. You know, let's be honest. The Talbot trade was great for him.
I was about to say, the Talbot trade will always be a win as far as I'm concerned.
It will always be a win, and I agree with you. But this will be his greatest test, where it's an actual challenge. And a lot of things are going to be determined on this. If I were him, and I wanted your guys' opinions here as well, long-term contract or bridge deal?
Long-term.
I think you got to go long-term.
Hello?
I'm still here.
Okay, so rest in peace, Adam.
Okay, well, see ya.
What?
Oh, you lagged out
super hard. You lagged out, like, super hard.
You're back. Go on.
I would say long-term deal as well. I mean, so at least you know what you're working with the next, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, if you sign him for, say, 7.5 now for 3 years, like, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out of the air, but, like, due to things like inflation or maybe increased performance or whatever, in another 3 years, you're looking at 10 for him or 11 for him, and he might not be worth that much money, but just things like inflation and whatnot make
the McDavid
it so that
contract for one.
You have to sign for market value.
Yeah, no, I mean, ideal for me is probably 7.5 by 8. That's not really realistic. I think it's going to probably demand more, but anywhere between 7.5 and I think 8.2 ish is probably ballpark, I'd imagine.
I'm hoping for under 8, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that you offer sheet him, and the key reason that I'm making this argument. Oh, there we go.
These look terrifying.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to get myself some light. It was every season that Draisaitl has done well, and even portions of the season where he's done well, he has been playing on a line with a superstar. And that's not to say that Draisaitl didn't hold up his own. He definitely was a big contributor into why, that line worked, and all that kind of crap. But, perhaps just the sheer fact that he's labeled as a center instead of a winger makes us overvalue him just a touch. Because we go, if he could do this with McDavid, imagine what he could do in his own line where he's the focal point. But that also makes me concerned because whenever he's had his own line, outside of that series against the Ducks, he's not been great. He's always had a little bit of trouble. He's struggled. One thing for sure is I absolutely appreciate is his work ethic has been insane. He took an absolutely poor performance going into the end of last season, and not last season as in the 2016-17, but the 15-16 season, where he was basically the reason that line of Taylor Hall, him, and whoever they put on the right wing or left wing failed was he kept getting pushed off the puck. Like, the strategy to shut down that line was basically put 2 people on Draisaitl. And now Draisaitl can get 2 people put on him and still manage to continue the cycle. So I absolutely appreciate his work ethic. But still, I really question how good his production would ever be if he didn't get to play with the Taylor Hall or the Connor McDavid. Because Connor McDavid's the kind of guy that can take Patrick Maroon, whose previous highest goal total was, 12, 13 goals, and send him to 27, 29?
Literally double it, yeah.
Exactly. Like, you're talking, as much as you can say that, like, as much as I mentioned earlier that, like, you know, he's, even if he's the best player in the league, perhaps it was too much of a babe upgrade. He's still the best player in the league, and that also part of that is that he makes other players around him better. I don't think they give Draisaitl that amount of a pay upgrade. I think you bridge contract him sort of like the Kucherov deal. And it could backfire like it did with PK Subban. But that being said, that's a risk that you try to take.
Having it backfire? I don't know, man. People will be crucifying Montreal over the PK Subban trade for forever.
Okay, so really quickly then, assuming bridge deal, and this is an extension off of what I was talking about, would you go with a 2-year or 3-year deal?
Probably 4.
Probably 3, I guess.
There's no way he would go with 4, because then he would still end up at RFA after that, and he has 1 year left of RFA. I don't think he would be willing to agree to that unless it's a fairly large pay upgrade.
Yeah, so I mean 3, and then
3
arbitration, you can get 1 or 2 year contracts.
Yeah. Honestly, 3 wouldn't be that bad, because that would end... Actually, no, 4 would be the best number. You're right, Adam. Because 4 is when Sekera's contract ends. We have to sign Larson at that point. Russell's contract also ends then, and Nugent Hopkins' contract also ends then. 4
years though, that's not really a bridge deal.
It's not a bridge deal.
That's like a contract.
While it ends,
bridge deals lately have been on average between 2 and 4 years.
Yeah, 2 and 4 years, but also depending on the circumstances. Usually it ends not 1 year before RFA ends, but 2 years before RFA ends.
I've always thought of them as like a prove it to me sort of contract.
Yeah.
Not even so much as like RFA or UFA years or whatever. It's just like, okay, you show a lot of promise, but you're not proven.
Actually,
the last time
we
gave one of those out.
Yeah, go ahead.
The last time we gave one of those out, we gave to Jeff Petrie, and he fucked off to Montreal because we decided he wasn't good enough.
Okay, we didn't fuck him off to Montreal. Let's be honest. He got traded, so he didn't run away or anything. And second off, I think that's an absolute agreement that that's a classic example of why McTavish wasn't a good GM, was because he didn't know how to handle media relations with players. That was a big flaw of his. That's where I absolutely appreciate Chiarelli.
He literally had conversations with teams at the beginning of the year saying, I'd like to sign long term in Edmonton at least 5 years, and McTavish went, no, 1 year, show me what you got. There's literally there's articles, I have articles saved from Oilers Nation from various sources saying Petrie tried
to
get a deal different GM.
James, is he liking to you or just to me?
No, to me as well.
Okay.
Pay what the players.
Dude, you're lagging super hard. We're just gonna continue.
Thanks.
On.
I'm gonna grab my cape. I'll be back.
Okay. One quick thing then, James, if you wanted to chat about this at all, is a 5 years deal is basically right when RFA ends. So a 4-year deal, the good thing about it is that it's right when Nugent Hopkins' contract ends, Sekera's contract ends, and Russell's contract ends. So that would be 6, 5.5, and 4 coming off the books. So even if he wants a little bit more of a pay bump for a really long-term deal, that's something we can really afford at that time. Thoughts?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, would Draisaitl? What do you think Draisaitl wants? Like, do you think that he wants a shorter-term contract? I mean, I feel like 4 years has got to be the least amount of time that he would want.
Yeah, because even if it is 4 years, he's going to ask for more money. He's going to ask for like an 8 or a 9, even if it is 4 years.
Exactly. So when you stretch the contract out,
so instead of 4 years,
it goes down.
Yeah. Average doesn't necessarily go down. In some situations, it goes up because the player doesn't want to sign that kind of contract. But the definite reason that I see that like 4-year being 8 or 9 is because that's one away from the 5-year contract, which is the contract he wants, and also it keeps him tied to an RFA for another contract signing, and that's not what he wants. He wants to have more negotiating rights, but also the way that RFA contracts are structured right now, even if he wants negotiating rights, look at the number of teams that are lining up to want to be offer sheeting Draisaitl.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure there's tons.
Oh,
like,
no,
I'm sure
offer sheeting.
Sure that there's like, well, no, there's no one doing it, but I'm sure there's lots that would like to.
No one's gonna do it though. That's what matters.
That's true.
Because like the team in the perfect scenario to do it is Carolina, and no move from them. Because Carolina has a ton of cap space. They don't need any more gigantic picks because their entire team is super young. And all they need really at this point is a first-line player a la Draisaitl. Which is perfect for them because not only first-line player, it's a first-line center.
It's a first-line center.
Assuming he can be a first-line center on a team without Taylor Hall or Connor McDavid.
All right, anyway. Next on the docket, I'm not worried about it yet. That's kind of the end there. Because last year, it was Gaudreau, and the year before that, I think it was Scheifele. So this stuff gets done. Yeah.
And last year, not only that, the big name on the block was Kucherov. Before that, the biggest name on the block was freaking Philip Forsberg. Right now, Johansson's available, and he's not being touched.
Yeah.
Alright, so that should help a lot. I just plugged my Ethernet cable in.
Sure. So. I agree with you, Pool Party, in terms of the Russell contract coming out in 2 years' time. But that's also making the assumption that we do trade him. I'm not 100% guarantee. I don't think it's an absolute guarantee that he's going to get traded after 2 years. I think fans are foregoing that he will be traded and things will be okay, but it's either going to be really messy or it's not going to happen, in my opinion.
Well, the no trade clause kicks in after the 2 years, so if he's going to be traded, it's going to be them. Or then.
Yeah, it's going to be then, yeah. It has to be then. There's no choice.
Yeah. Okay, Andrew Ferentz retired. What do you guys think? Any thoughts on that? Because he'd been kicking around for a while and kind of out of sight, out of mind, almost.
I love the guy. As a person,
he essentially was.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
No, I lagged out there and at the end of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's absolutely been a stellar feature of the community. I think that's where a lot of positive vibes are felt about him. He was absolutely knowledgeable, say, back last year at the beginning of the season, that he knew that his hockey days were over, and he was basically doing this as a favor to the team, I think. I don't think there's going to be any penalties if he retired early, but he was long-term injury reserved, and he stayed on that. And the question marks were raised in terms of the timing because it was just right for the Oilers. But that being said, he's been a great member of the community. He led a lot of community initiatives. He's been I would say he's been a huge part in terms of health movements within the community because he's a huge health nut. And now there's a lot more programs that are outdoors that are going on that were either started in his name or started off of what he started doing. I remember that he would literally create a group of people that would start running at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, pretty much once a week or every day.
The November Project.
The November Project, thank you. I forgot it.
So he's really heavily involved with that, and he's super heavily involved with things like Pride around the city. So he's great for the community, which is awesome. I mean, he handled the end of his career with a lot of grace, professionalism, and poise. Yeah. So I had no problem paying him full value for his contract.
Yeah, Ferentz the player wasn't great. I put this on the subreddit, but Ferentz, most people weren't very happy with Ferentz the player, but very, very many people were very happy with Ferentz the human being.
Mm-hmm.
That comes out right.
And I mean that's what he was signed for essentially. He was already a 5'6" kind of borderline NHLer when we signed him, which good or bad, but he declined significantly. His hip caused issues. His speed was never present like it was early in his career. Good for him for retiring and hopefully enjoys it. But at the same time, he was a good captain in terms of what he did on the off the ice, and it was interesting to hear him talk about the morale, like buying in compared to the last few years compared to this year and last year with the team. So it's kind of interesting to get that inside perspective a little bit.
I think every perspective like that's going to be skewed, but
of course, but
yeah, I don't know. Especially from a guy that, even if he was like a part of the team, he wasn't necessarily always in the locker room in this injured season. So I don't know. Where he would have seen everything good and bad in the bad seasons, he may not have seen the bad in the good season. Because sometimes the bad is harder to find. Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Just a quick note. So they signed UC Jokinen to a 1-year deal. 1 year, I think the cap is $1.1 million. So pretty low risk, potentially high reward, relatively speaking. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that contract?
Adam?
I like it. I don't see what.
Go ahead. You're lagging, dude. Sorry.
I feel like at this point you guys are lagging. It's not. Sorry, trying to think. I think it's a good deal. I mean, why not? Realistically, it's one of those things that it's like you guys said. It's low risk, high reward. There's the 1.1 million is negligible, and it's UC Jokinen is a veteran who has experience with players, and he can help with URV's Finnish and English transition.
Hello? James?
Yep.
Rest in peace. Yeah, Adam, I'm 100% sure it's your situation here, because my stream health is perfect at the moment. Yeah, I'm assuming I'm going to be talking a similar vein to Adam here. His foot speed isn't great, but the thing that made him such a great Corsi player and such a great player for the Oilers, and not Oilers, sorry, in terms of his career, is how smart of a player he was. I've posted a link on the chat here. Hopefully I'll remember to save it in the description. But it's fairly easy to find. Just search up UC Jokinen transforming power play, and it's a very specific system. It's something that he basically made Dan Bismala's power play look amazing. And the reason he was able to make it look amazing was because he introduced what was the Finnish breakout. And the Finnish breakout isn't actually created by Finnish coaches or anything. It's made primarily by him. It's a style in which you get a forward drifting to force defenders and players back because they don't want the cherry picking to happen. You have the defender and the winger coming in, and then you have either the defender or the forward carrying the puck forward and shifting pressure. It's a huge and improved drastic way because any one of those players can be the puck carrier. And it also revolutionized the way that you could guarantee an entrance into the offensive zone. Now, that's a huge thing that I'm raving about him. And the great thing about it is that he not only made it work in an international scene, he also made it work for the Penguins. I don't know if it was the year they won the Cup. I don't think it was. But it was one of the years where they had the best power play in the league. So saying something there. But it'll be great for the power play. And overall, I think he's the kind of guy that, like, if he retires with the Oilers, I want him in the organization in some capacity. So I'm really happy about this move. Even if his foot speed is absolute shit, I'm very happy. James?
Adam, are you?
Assuming I don't stroke out at this point. Like I said before, when I apparently didn't go through, I'm happy with it. You know, low risk, low reward. He's got a great hockey IQ. He's Finnish, and he's been living in Canada and U.S. for so long. He might be able to help Puljujarvi with his game and his transition. I don't see why you wouldn't sign it.
I feel like that's part of the reason why he was signed, to help Puljujarvi, and I bet you they'll live together. Puljujarvi, barring an injury or a major collapse in his play, he'll definitely make the team this year. NHL free agency. All right, let's go over this real quick.
Free agency.
The highlights are a bunch of... What do we got? Carey Price, 8 years, $10.5 million average. It's a big contract.
Ooh, that is a big contract. Hold on, let me double check his age right now. Adam, you want to chime in on that?
He's 30.
Oh my God! Adam,
best goalie in the league. I mean, he's gonna get paid.
Yeah.
Montreal's grace period. Is over. They don't have a number one center. They don't have a number two center. They don't have a number three center. That's a lie. Their number one center is a number three center. If they wanted to push for a cup on an affordable contract from Carey Price, that was the last 5-6 years. Now they're screwed. They had to pay him. It was going to happen. They don't have PK Subban anymore. So realistically, Montreal is just they're dead in the water at this point unless they do something drastic.
Yeah. I mean, there's it's similar story to the Connor McDavid situation, in which what do? Not give the best goaltender in the league a really good contract?
Exactly. You have no choice.
The thing is, simultaneously, a goaltender is the kind of position where if you don't have a good player in that position, it's something that can be relatively easily replaceable compared to, say, a number one defenseman or a number one center.
Yeah, I agree, but that contract doesn't even kick in for another year, so he'll be like 31 when it starts.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna end basically when he's into his late 30s, basically 39. Yeah. 40 really is when it ends.
I feel like goalies, they stay good longer than skaters.
Yeah, but even then, we're seeing
Price is like the best of the best.
Yeah, Luongo is what, 40 now, and we're seeing how it's turning out to be bad too. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, was that me?
But I mean,
okay.
What are you gonna do? You have to sign him.
Yeah, we do.
I'm looking at their centers here, and it's like Plekanec is their number one center right now. This is bad.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, another good target for offer sheeting Draisaitl is Montreal, and in that situation, I would match.
Yeah, holy, that is a thin forward group. I never realized it, but
it's a really
Drouin, Galchenyuk, Pacioretty, Gallagher, like those are four good forwards there.
Yeah, they had Radulov, lost Radulov. That's a good contract signing to talk about, by the way.
Yeah, we will. They replaced him with Hemsky, which is not going to work out. There's no way.
Hemsky's biggest problem right now is just staying healthy. So
yeah,
has been for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. His right wing, so he'll probably play with Pacioretty, be the setup man for him. But I don't know who they'll play center on that line. Because I'll bet you Drouin and Galchenyuk, they'll keep them together.
Pacioretty and Hemsky are countrymen, right?
Pacioretty is American.
Really? Not Pacioretty. Sorry. Plekanec.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're both Czech.
They're both Czech. Thought so.
So maybe you can play them together. I don't know. Like, are they friends? Who cares? I guess, but I don't know, man.
If it works, right?
That Price contract is that's a tough one.
It's looking an awful lot like that PK Subban contract.
6-7. Shea Weber has 7 more years on his deal.
Yeah.
At $7.8 million.
Yeah, Montreal has to win next year. And
well, they're not.
They're not going to be able to, yeah.
Drouin, Galchenyuk, Pacioretty, like those are 3 really good forwards, but they're not stars. They're not superstars anyway.
I think Drouin can be a superstar, but I think that media environment's going to eat him alive. So,
yeah. French Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah, holy shit, I'm seeing these contracts and it's just scary. What the hell?
Carl Alsner too, 4.6. I don't know. He was going to get
That's
paid.
not that bad.
No, it's bad. Carl Eisner is already a step behind. Not to mention that his injury made things worse for him. And what else is there? He's also, 28 right now, and he's going to be paid until he is 33.
Is it a 5-year deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, their best contract right now.
Man.
Their best contracts right now is basically a player that their organization has basically said they want to get rid of, and the fans have also said they want to get rid of, and Galchenyuk. And they're actually, no, not Galchenyuk, it's Pacioretty, who, like, both organization and fans have mentioned that perhaps trading game is not a bad idea. And there's also Galchenyuk there, who's at 4.9. And then you have freaking Jeff Petrie. But that's it in terms of good contracts for them.
Best contract overall.
Pacioretty, yeah.
Pacioretty's got to be their best
Paul
contract
Byron,
overall. They got him for 2 more years.
On a per goal level, Paul Byron is definitely up there. But I don't think he's going to continue that for another season.
No.
Yeah. Paul Byron's paying 1.17, which is a very good deal.
Hemsky is $1 million.
I think
if he can stay healthy, like, he'll probably get like between 40 and 50 points. But I don't know, man.
Not happening.
It's just not happening, yeah. And the biggest problem for them, honestly, it just comes down to the fact that their farm system is absolute shit. Like, they had a long time to bring in good players through their farm system, develop them well, but it's never been there. And now the only good player that they had in their farm system, they had to trade away for a forward.
Yeah.
And based upon the farm system that he's been, the forward, what's his freaking name? Sergachev, thank you, has been traded to, he might turn into the next Hedman.
Yeah, but I feel like short term, Montreal won that trade.
Short term, yeah. But I'm thinking this is going to be the kind of thing where, like, after a year, it will be Tampa that's going to win that trade.
It could be it could even out, or possibly Tampa could win, depending on how Sergachev develops. But Drouin is going to step in right now and score 50 points.
I mean, it's gonna. Honestly, I think this has a lot of comparables to a smaller extent to the PK Subban Shea Weber thing. Because if you remember, Shea Weber immediately stepped in, looked great. Montreal fans are absolutely ecstatic, happy. But at the end of the season, who got the last laugh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's move on to another contract.
Patrick Marleau with the Toronto Maple Leafs, 6.25 per year for 3 years. Oh. I think he will retire after 2.
And there will be cap penalties. Because he signed that after the age of 35.
Can he be LTI retired?
Robidas Island.
Yeah.
Sent to Robidas Island. I don't think it's going to happen because one of the players in the league that's been very good at staying healthy and playing a lot of games has always been Patrick Marleau. It's phenomenal how he's, 36 and still playing like 82 games a season.
I was going to say, like, for at least 2 of those 3 years, he should still be pretty good.
Should be pretty good, yeah.
So,
honestly, in my opinion, as much as you can try to rationalize it, dance your way around it, or anything, that is perhaps 1 to 2 years too many and 1 to 2 million too much. And it's as simple as that, really.
He took more money than he should have, but at the same time, if the Leafs are in any position right now to give away money, it's fine because they have so many young players that are getting contracts in 2 to 3 years that when that deal runs out, they'll have a lot of extra money.
Okay, so his deal ends in 2021 is when that ends. By that point in time, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Josh Leno, Jake Gardner, Ron Hainsey, Marinson, and No, Marincin will all need new deals before that contract ends.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really that worried about it, to be honest with you.
No, if I were a Leafs fan, I'd be absolutely like, holy shit, what do we really do in this situation?
I don't know. Matthews will probably get 10.
10,
Nylander and Marner will probably get
6,
7. Yeah, something like that.
7 for Marner, 6 for Nylander, but it's hard to justify that, really, because Nylander is the oldest among them, so...
Yeah, they've got Lupul. Oh no, he's done.
He's done.
After this year,
their best contract is Kadri.
They have Van Riemsdyk, Bozak, Komarov coming off the books. So that's something. I don't feel like they'll need Bozak much longer.
Realistically, it makes sense to have a veteran player that has been to the playoffs, played a lot of games, knows how to play the right way. So, I mean, yeah, it's expensive, but it's also, I guess, it's their veteran presence that they're looking for, and they have money right now. So,
like, the way that I look at it, it's like, okay, yes, it looks scary because it's 3 years, but do you really think that Shanahan and Lamoriello didn't think this out? Like, do you think that they don't have a plan? If you think that they're just going in this without thinking ahead, like, you're delusional.
As much as I want to agree with you there... As much as I do want to agree with you there, at the end of the day, it's a no movement clause on a 3-year deal for a guy that right now is 37 years old. As much as you want to dress that up, like, you need to call it what it is. It's a bad deal.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Oh my God, delusional Leafs fan here. Delusional Leafs fan. Shut it down, people. Shut it down. Let's go to the next trade. I mean,
it's not a great deal, but it's not a bad deal.
There's been worse.
There's been worse. But that doesn't stop this from being a bad deal.
The reason it's not terrible is the situation Leafs are currently in. If they were in a cap crunch, it'd be awful.
Exactly.
Okay.
They can afford to bring in and parachute in an old veteran leader who knows what it's like to be in the playoffs year in and year out.
All of their RFA contracts will be out, and they have to be re-signed by the time that the Patrick Marleau.
Yeah, and they're also JVR and Bozak likely won't be around. They're gonna.
Who are you gonna replace them
just LTIR, Marleau.
Who are you gonna replace them with, though?
I don't know.
What?
I mean, you're talking about like top 6 players and like a top 3 center, a number 3 center. Like, you still need to replace them with someone.
Yeah.
Right? You can say like those contracts come off, but like whoever you're gonna bring in is still gonna cost you like $4 million at least.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't really know what you want me to say, because the way that I see it, it's you're going to build around Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, and you pick up cheap contracts. Like, I don't know, man. Like, your bottom 6 forwards are a dime a dozen, and I think the NHL is starting to shift towards superstars getting paid obscene amounts of money, and then everyone else is kind of way down there. That's the way that the NFL has been for years. The NBA is like that. On
the topic of NBA, really quickly, I do want to put in there. What's his goddamn name? Who plays for the Cavs? Number 2.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving has now demanded a trade, and they bought in Derrick Rose to basically replace him. Derrick Rose? I don't remember.
Did they trade him?
They haven't traded him yet, but it's been made public, and the key reason is that he's tired of playing second fiddle to LeBron.
God.
So he is look on.
What a first world problem, hey? Oh
I mean, he's gonna enjoy going back to 22 wins a season. So hey, what do you know? Anyway, enough about basketball. We're back to our subject here.
It's worth noting, by the way, that the NHL is one of the few of the 4 big leagues in North America. It's the only league that doesn't really properly reward its superstars right now with bigger contracts than everyone else. They're like massively bigger contracts.
Because the thing is, the definition of a superstar is shifting so often. Really, I think it comes down to that. A superstar one season is not the same guy the next season.
Yeah, there's higher.
There might be guys getting better because like everyone works on the basis of what if he gets better, but there should also be the question mark of what if he gets worse. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other side of it is they also make the least amount of money of the three.
Yeah.
The four, sorry. So.
The five now MLB. I mean MLS.
MLS, yeah, but I mean MLS is kind of it's coming up, but it's not quite.
It makes more money than the NHL, dude.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
It is. NHL is. The conversation is not top 4 leagues anymore. It is top 5 leagues.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
Dallas
next,
signs Radulov 5 years, $6.25 million average.
That's a bad contract. Simple as that.
Not great, but considering what he was asking for Montreal for, it's meh. Dallas didn't need more forwards, but now their forward core is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
And their defense isn't that bad because they're getting like their prospects in now.
Who do they pay
really
for
touted
goalie?
ones.
Ben Bishop, right? They could be a
they bought out
decent team this
Niemi,
year.
so they have Ben Bishop backed up by Lietnen. But Ben Bishop for the Kings did not look good.
No, but I don't know.
And not to mention that Ben Bishop for the Senators also looked I can't hear you. You're lagging out. So the Radulov contract right now, he is 31 years old. It's how long is the deal, James?
5 years.
5 years. It will end when he is 36 years old.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. But
yeah, that makes the Lucic contract look a little better.
Yeah, I think for the first couple of years, it'll be all right. Because, like, look at their forwards now. It's Ben, Spezza, Radulov, Sagan, Hansel, Faxa, Pitlick.
Yeah, that's true.
Rip.
But did they replace their? They fired
Lindy Ruff.
Lindy Ruff. They did. So yeah, there's no more of a Russian problem for them. So they're good now.
Yeah, I can't even remember who their head coach is now.
I don't remember either. I'll have to double check that one. Hold on.
But I'm not crazy about it either. But I think for like at least 2 or 3 years, it'll be all right. But it'll probably be pretty painful for the last couple.
It's Hitchcock.
Hitchcock, right.
He looks like he's on the like he's gonna have a stroke at any moment. When I saw him at St. Louis, I don't know how good he's gonna be for them. I don't think he's the right coach for them. I'm gonna be honest.
He's a defensive-based coach on a team with more forwards than any other team.
It's honestly one of the best forward cores on any league.
Yeah, I don't think he's a great coach of that team either. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, honestly,
Joe Thornton. Okay, last one here. Joe Thornton, 1 year with the Sharks, $8 million. It's accessible because it's 1 year, but like
it's 1 year. I mean, the best contract to sign in the free agency is a 1 year contract. I'm to be honest. With the way the free agency is right now, you can sign a contract for 1 year. It's no longer about the money now. It's about how long you can sign it because when that contract ends, you're free.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. I don't know how many more years he's going to play for, but it'll just be one year contracts until the end now.
It's his last in San Jose, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say so, too.
Okay, so really quickly looking at standings things, based upon the changes that you've seen so far, assuming, of course, that these aren't all the changes, there are going to be more coming in still. Who do you think is going to be the most improved team, and who do you think is going to be the team that gets worse the most?
The most improved team?
Yeah. Some key contracts we haven't talked about really quickly. Kuznetsov is a big deal, and who's the other person that signed for Washington at an 8-year contract for at like 33 years? Oshie. But those are both those are going to look really bad very quickly. So. Sorry, James, I interrupted you.
Yeah, give me 30 seconds here.
Yeah, Adam, did you have anyone in mind that you wanted to talk about?
Dallas did make moves that can either will make them significantly much better, or they're gonna just fall off a cliff again. It's no in between. If Ben Bishop gets injured, they're screwed. If their forward core doesn't perform properly, they're screwed. If their defense can't hold together, they're screwed. If Ken Hitchcock can't get the guys to come together, they're screwed. But if everything comes together and works, they could be. I'd say they've easily pushed for playoffs. Yeah. Team that got worse significantly, Blackhawks. I've decided to go with the old bring the boys back in town and hope they can still play hockey kind of role. And I mean the Avs didn't do anything.
Avs didn't do anything.
They signed Yakupov.
Yeah. I think the team that's gonna get the worst is shit. I didn't really think that one through either. I have teams that are going to get much better. So I'm going to break that up as the Eastern and Western Conference. Eastern Conference, I think Tampa is going to be ridiculous next season. Literally the key reason that they didn't make the playoffs, and they missed the playoffs by, I think it was, more than a handful of points there. Like 8 points, I think, or 5 points, 6 points, I don't know. Nope. They missed it by a point. They missed the playoffs by a point. And the key reason that happened was of the number of injuries that they had. So basically, it was a team that was carried as far as they were by a combination of Victor Hedman, who deservedly got third place in Norris Trophy votes, and Kucherov, who should have gotten some votes there for Hart as well, or some more points for Hart Trophy counting voting. Western Conference, I think, most improved team, and this might be to contention because we don't know how it's going to work out, is Arizona. They brought in their number one center, who is not necessarily number one, but definitely serviceable. They've vastly improved their D-core, along with helping out OEL on a huge basis. And they brought in a fairly decent goaltender. It's going to be a question mark whether or not he can be a true starting goaltender for the entire season. But the last New York Rangers goaltender that was a backup turned out to be quite the star. So I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but I think they're going to be nipping at the buds. Team I think is going to get the most bad is going to be St. Louis. While they've brought in some great players, I think the key reason that they did as well as they did was just a small shift in culture change can have significant improvements, but I don't think who's the goddamn coach of that team? I always forget his name. He's the coach of Minnesota. Mike Yeo. I don't think Mike Yeo's coaching is going to take them to any more than being just a reoccurring playoff team. I don't think it's going to be that much of a standings change, but I don't see them ever getting past the first round.
For me, the most improved team kills me to say it, but Calgary. I think you gotta consider them. Hate to say it, but Calgary, they really, I don't know. They got Travis Hamonic from the Islanders, and that makes their top four defense Giordano, Hamonic, Brody, and Hamilton. Like, that's disgusting.
Not fair. And Michael Stone.
Honestly, it's disgusting. They re-signed Michael Stone.
Yeah, that's a bad contract, but still, you got depth with that contract, so that's great.
Yeah, and they redid their goalies as well. So Mike Smith and Eddie Lack, they're not world beaters, but better. They got to be better than Brian Elliott. So
hopefully,
yeah. And then
I mean, don't make any promises there.
Yeah, I think a team that will take a step back, probably Washington. They lost TJ Oshie. They had to trade away Marcus Johansson.
They kept TJ Oshie.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, they lost Justin Williams.
Justin Williams is who they lost.
And
okay.
Johansson, and they traded Johansson.
They traded Johansson to the Devils for picks, I think, some lower round picks. So
second and third, I think.
Ovechkin, I would say, is he's played his best hockey. Honestly, I don't think he's going to score 50 again, although you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, I think Washington is due for a step back. Definitely still making the playoffs, but not President's Trophy winning.
I think a team that's going to be underrated quality is going to be the Canes, and a team that's going to take a bigger step back than people think is going to be the Panthers.
Panthers, yeah. I was going to comment on the Panthers. Yeah.
Like it's, mind you, to me now the real contest this year is going to be who's going to finish dead fucking last. Is it going to be the Avs or the Knights?
No, I think Vancouver's in that discussion there because like they're coming in with the really question mark of a lineup, and to add to that, they lost one of their best defensemen in the past season in Tyler Mikan.
Yeah, Tremaine went back to the KHL, so
yeah, Tremaine.
They're going to be pretty garbage.
Yeah,
I'm looking at.
I'm actually
now.
really questioning as well. I'm not sure how, the Oilers. I don't think the Oilers are going to finish. They're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to finish that 100+ point season that they just had. And that's purely off of we no longer have the best schedule in the league. We had the best schedule in the league in the last season, and we didn't have to deal with a single major injury in the last season.
Yeah, we were so healthy last year for like the first time that I could ever remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite literally a decade plus that we haven't had any major it's the first season in a decade we haven't had any just
no injuries. Nugent Hopkins plays 82 games this season. That's never happened.
No. McDavid played 82 games. Yeah. Draisaitl played 82 games. Talbot might as well have played 82 games.
Might as well, yeah. No injuries to Talbot. Honestly, the biggest injury was Clefbaum that we lost for 10 games. I think I don't remember. No, we didn't lose Clefbaum. What? No.
No, Clefbaum played the whole season.
He did. Sekera we lost for a little bit. Yeah.
Sekera and Pitlick.
And that's going to be the big problem because we're literally starting the season with a 3-month loss of Sekera.
And again, I've said this before, but he's not going to be 100% this year, and it's going to show, and people are going to get pissed off about it.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of his injury.
That is absolutely 100% the nature of his injury.
I get my surgery in 5 days, and I'm not going to be skiing until the end of February, or the end of January if I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
So it's an injury like that, and even pro players, it's just an injury and a surgery that you can't.
I mean, the worst injury that we had this season was to Darnell Nurse, who was our bottom pairing defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue Sekera's was more significant.
In playoffs, yeah, I'm referring to mostly off
the season,
regular season here, yeah. Because regular season determines. I think we've learned that fairly well. It determines whether or not you actually get into the playoffs. So,
you guys,
yeah.
Vancouver's going to be really bad.
They're going to be really bad, yeah. They're going to be really bad.
Holy shit, they're going to be bad.
They're going to be dumpster fire.
Yeah, and honestly, a huge part of that just comes down to factors sort of outside of their control, because they don't want to rush any of their players in, but they literally had to bring in a bunch of Band-Aids so they could ice an NHL team. And they lost one of their best defensemen.
Their control. They refuse to trade and rebuild, and they refuse to.
I don't know why they're not trading Sedins.
Push.
They should have traded the Sedins a few years ago.
I wouldn't say a few years ago, because the Sedins were such late bloomers that it's sort of hard pressed for me to say a few years ago, but definitely this season or last season.
I mean, they're stuck in the loop of we have to make sure that. They're legends to the city. We have to honor them properly. And
exactly.
It's sort of the trouble when you have not one but twins.
Yeah, you could never.
And as a favor to the players, players that basically carry your franchise during its best years, you can't just trade one and not trade the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or trade one place and trade one the other place. You need to have a good deal going.
They have 1 year left on their contracts, so that'll free up $14 million in cap space. Woo! When they'll go back to Sweden after next year.
Probably,
I bet you, and just
either that or one of them might stick around and stick with the organization just because
maybe.
Because Naslin's with that organization at the moment, so
I can't see them splitting up until they're retired.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be one of those things where Vancouver's gonna tank the shit out of this year. They're going to get a good draft pick, and then they'll start rebuilding, hopefully, for the sake of the franchise from there. But the good news for me, then, is that tickets will be super cheap, so I might actually be able to see the Oilers for less than $90.
Good luck.
Maybe. Yeah. We might also get that good old who's the coach of the Senators right now?
What's his name?
Boucher. Because Boucher always has that odd season where like he'll carry a team very far, and then next season they'll suddenly struggle, and we don't know what's happening. So that might happen to the Senators. It's weird. That's usually the season where he gets fired, goes to another team, and then takes them to the Stanley Cup Finals. Or the
Carlson factor, though.
Yeah, Carlson also is a fucking insane player.
He was a monster this year.
He's a monster. He's absolutely ridiculous. He single-handedly, him and Anderson are single-handedly the reasons that team went as far as it did in the playoffs.
2 more years at 6.5 for that.
That's not
for
fair.
Carlson. So
that's not fair. He's the kind of player that you play like 10 million, 11 million this season.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He doesn't stay in Ottawa. I think just the nature of Eugene Melnyk and the team and where it's at in terms of the city
Sales.
And the players and where I don't think he stays there.
Yeah, they had the lowest drop in attendance over the past 5 seasons.
Most drop or highest?
Highest drop. Sorry, I say 2 negatives at the same time.
And like I get, I've lived in Ottawa and I get why this arena is in a terrible place, and the Phoenix Pacers have screwed a lot of people, and it's not a great, But Eugene Melnyk is a terrible, is a piece of shit, cheap ass motherfucker.
He is.
He's not gonna give Carlson. He's not gonna give approval. Give Carlson whatever he wants, which is what he should get.
Yeah. I think probably another team that's going to be really improved in the season might be the Sabres. And one that's going to look really even worse, perhaps, is going to be the Red Wings. But that's pretty much about the end of my list there.
Yeah, that's it. That's about it. Everyone else is kind of a mix or question mark.
Or it's just going to be like your traditional seasonal fluctuation where like one season spontaneously the Tampa Bay Lightning doesn't make the playoffs. Right, that could be this. The next season, it could be the Sharks. Who knows?
The Blue Jackets will be the interesting one for me this year. Because they fell off so hard at the beginning of the year that it's like, will they go back to normal or will they just be awful? One
thing that I did appreciate with Torts was I can never pronounce his goddamn name. I pronounce it like a goddamn spaghetti. He was very good at adjusting to the style that worked for the Blue Jackets, but when things didn't work for the Blue Jackets, he switched back to his old style that doesn't really work, and that's why they lost in 5 to the Penguins. So
their success is based on Bobrovsky's groin staying healthy. That's pretty much it.
Oh, let's be honest here. They still have a very 30-plus goal scorer in Cam Atkinson, who signed very cheap. They've got PLD coming in, possibly. I don't know how his goddamn initials work. Pierre-Luc Dubois. Yeah, PLD. And they've got a much improved defense score, which allows way too many shots, but still is a much improved defense score.
I was going to say name like more than 2 other defensemen.
Yeah. About that. It's true.
I know
it's their first line. That's all it's relied upon.
What are you talking
denying that their first line's very good. Blue Jackets.
Name 2 defensemen on their team?
Beyond 2 defensemen.
Werenski, Jones,
exactly.
Murray.
Oh, Murray, right.
Yeah,
hey, we should have drafted him first overall. Huh?
Jack Johnson.
Oh, Jack Johnson's huge, yeah. No denying that one. Savard.
David Savard, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Didn't Kyle Quincy get traded there?
No, he's not on their team.
I think he might be.
Is he?
Yep.
It's my bad, though.
It's just... Yeah. I don't know. They're hit or miss.
Yeah. But no denying, though, they've got a lot of talent. Like Wenberg, Dubinsky, Foligno, Boone Jenner.
They traded for Panarin.
And they have Panarin. Right. I totally forgot that. Bjorkstrand.
I have no idea why Chicago did that.
I have no idea either. Well, yeah, at this point, we're just sort of talking in circles. But I don't see many people that want to add anything in chat unless you guys speak up. So that, James, you want to wrap up really quick there?
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for us here. Again, this is myself, James. With me, as usual, is Adam and Arun. Seeing as how it's the dog days of summer, this is pretty much going to be our last podcast for a while. We don't have anything written in stone by any means, but For the rest of July and the entirety of August, I don't see us doing another episode. We'll probably pick it up sometime in September around maybe the Young Stars tournament in Penticton or training camp, something along those lines. Yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, guys.
Something worth mentioning. I'm going to be off for the next couple of weeks. So I might look into doing something website blog related. I don't know how much effort I'm going to be able to put into that.
Let's make gameplay videos, Adam. Let's do it.
that might be something that I might look into. So maybe we will make an announcement or something about that later on. That's kind of a project I'm working on, so I don't know if they're going to be involved as well. It kind of depends on their opinion, but something worth looking forward to. If you guys like stats, I'm going to be trying to do some stat stuff. It's been a few years, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us.
Any closing remarks? Arun, do you have any closing remarks?
There might be a possibility of us doing a cast in August, just so we don't keep you guys in the dark for longer than a month. But yeah, it's just like James said. Right now, there's really nothing happening. And to speak to Waves on that, like guys like Bob McKenzie literally sighed out and it's turned into Drunk McKenzie for the summer.
Yeah, I guess that'll be it. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys later.
See ya. Sorry, I have to open OBS.